Inspiring interviews with today's top landlords. This is the Rental Income Podcast. And now, Dan Lane.
I've got a bonus episode of the podcast for you today. We're going to be looking at a case study of someone that recently bought a rental property. Dom, why don't we start things off with you telling us your strategy for buying rentals?
Sure. I have a niche market, and if I find a house that's undervalued, maybe because it's cosmetically distressed, I do my darndest not to use my own money. Fix it up, and then I'll do the refinance. I've done that quite a few times. What's better than putting money into your own property? Not putting money into it.
Dom's been using the BRRRR strategy to build out his rental portfolio. That's buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And Dom just keeps doing this over and over again. And on the show today, he's going to walk us through one of his recent rental purchases. We'll go over all the numbers and figure out exactly how everything worked out. Joining us on the show today from Chicago is Dominic Kosteris. We'll take a really quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll come right back and we'll talk to Dom. A good deal on a rental property isn't going to last very long. To win properties today, you need to move quickly when a deal comes on the market, but it takes time to analyze a property. I want to let you know about an app where you can analyze deals on your phone in seconds. It's called Ask Rick, that's RIC for Rental Income Calculator. You can analyze a deal with the push of a button. You can figure out the rent, your mortgage payment, your expenses, and figure out the cash flow. If the numbers make sense, you can make an offer right there on the app, or you can send a calendar invite to your agent to see the property in person. Ask Rick is currently offering a free 7-day trial. Just search for Ask Rick in the App Store, or go to Just Ask Rick. That's RIC, justaskrick.com. All right, so Dom, let's take a look at one of your recent deals. So this was a deal that you just recently finished fixing up. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the property?
Sure. It's on the southeast side of the city. It's a C area. It's a working class community. I usually look at Realtor.com, and it was a foreclosed house. I picked it up for $51,000. It was structurally sound. The roof, the tuck pointing was real fine. But again, it was cosmetically distressed. They had like carpets from 1970. And here's the thing: in most major cities, when houses were built in the 30s, 40s, or 50s, there's always hardwood floors underneath. So I knew I'd have to rip out the floors and do the hardwood, rip out the carpet and do the hardwood floors. Of course, it needed painting and some a base cabinet because a pipe busted. That was pretty much it. Just a lot of cosmetics.
And you found it on Realtor.com?
Yes.
Was it sitting there for a while, or did the property just come on the market?
No, you know what? It's still a hot market. It popped up, and I snatched it within about a week. There were multiple offers. My realtor said I made an initial bid for $49,000. I came in there with cash. And my realtor said, "Hey, now they're calling for your highest and best offer." I went a couple extra thousand. I was rather surprised when he said you got the deal.
So when you saw it online, you called your realtor. Did you bring a contractor over to help you estimate what the costs were going to be, or do you just kind of have a ballpark just because you've done so many rehabs and you own a lot of rental properties? Like, did you just kind of know ballpark what it was going to cost?
Yeah, it's gotten to the point. I've been doing this for a while. You know, I did a little walkthrough myself, and I kind of guesstimated. Now here's the thing. You know, the roof looked pretty good. Again, the tuck pointing. So I did a ballpark. The windows were in pretty sound condition, and I know I have a general idea what this would cost. Now, the one thing, when you buy a foreclosed house, you don't know what the electric is like. because the house could have been sitting there for a couple of years, or you don't know what the plumbing is like. Luckily, everything was fine once I called the power companies and it was on. But yeah, you know what? It got to the point where I could kind of walk and guesstimate. If I do look at a house and I look at the roof, I will call a roofer and ask, approximately how many years do I have on this? So the one person who I sometimes do bring on these types of jobs would be the roofer.
Okay. And now for someone that's just getting started, where you've got a lot of experience and you're comfortable kind of estimating this, for someone that was newer, or even maybe for you when you were first getting into rehabbing properties, did you bring a contractor out there with you, or how did you kind of ballpark what the rehab was going to cost?
You know what? When I first started, I would go to Home Depot with my contractor, and I would see what the prices usually were from the material. And my contractor was fair, so I got a good idea what a brand new roof would cost, what a brand new furnace. What painting an entire house, how much the paint would be. Yeah, I think any soon-to-be investor, I would tell them just go to Home Depot, walk up and down the aisle with a pen and paper, just kind of look at the prices. Because if you are a newbie and you hire a contractor who might not be that honest, and they could probably spot you a mile away.
Sure.
They'll take you for a ride.
What did you estimate that this property was going to cost to fix up?
I thought maybe 7,000 or 8,000.
Okay.
It came out to about 9. About 9.
All right, that's pretty close. So, what did you have to do?
There was the gutters were plugged, so the ceiling, the living room ceiling, caved. And when it caved, it ruined some of the hardwood floors. So I had to replace some hardwood flooring, the ceiling, of course. The basement, I thought I would give it a new look and put some ceramic tiles there. Not that I had to, but I just did it to make it more attractive. There was plumbing for a toilet. I put in a toilet in the basement because, that's more marketable. Two bathrooms. Of course, painted the whole house. Did a lot of exterior, removing trees and bushes. It was a lot of overgrowth, and the cabinet and the base cabinet. So yeah, that came up to about 9,000.
Wow. Okay, and you have like a contractor that you work with, or who did the work for you?
I've been in business a long time. I know a lot of people who are, usually ready to work at moment's notice.
Okay.
I may have mentioned this before. I have someone living in my house. I have one of my houses, and in lieu of rent, he does work. So he was working off a couple months' rent to do the work.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, so 9,000 to fix it up. You bought it for 51,000, so you were all in at 60,000. Now, where did this money come from?
My 403B, my retirement. I was able to access it. I took a loan. I did not want to take it out because, as you, I don't know if you may know, you get penalized for that, and you have to pay a tax. So I just took a loan on it, a 5% interest. They hit me with a 5% interest on a short-term loan.
Okay,
I knew I was going to repay it.
And all right, so you got the $60,000 loan, and how long was that money out for? Like, how long did it take you to close on the property and then get the rehab done and get your refi done?
4 months.
4 months. Okay. So I mean, $60,000 at 4 months. Like that's really not that much, right?
No.
Yeah, so that was a few $100, maybe $1,000 in interest, something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, because most of it went to principal because it was a short-term loan,
right?
So I'm just basically paying back my loans. It wasn't at a whopping interest rate.
Now, all right, so once everything was fixed up, you needed to do your rehab. So this is the R in the BRRRR strategy, the rehab. So So how did that work? Like, did your I know some banks have seasoning requirements that you need to own the property for a certain amount of time before you can refi. Did your lender have any requirements like that?
No, it's a credit union, and they seem to have more latitude than some of these conventional banks.
Okay. So you went to the bank, and did you get the mortgage for 60 grand?
Well, they came out and appraised it. They appraised it for 90. I could have gotten. Yeah. I got it for 63,000. They gave me 70% of 90. Okay. So I got it for 63,000. They gave me a loan for 63.
Okay, so that's 63. That's you're getting your 60 grand back, and then you've got some extra money there for closing costs or any other thing that might come up. Okay, so then what's your mortgage payment on 63,000?
Yeah, the mortgage. I'll include everything: the mortgage, the principal, interest, insurance. In Chicago, you have to pay water. It's about $650 a month.
Okay, and then do you have that property rented now?
Yes, I do.
And how much is it rented for?
$1,450, Section 8 tenant.
Incredible. All right, so your mortgage payment is $650. You're bringing in $1,450, and that is incredible. I mean, that's a home run. So now, what do you do now? You're going to have some repairs from time to time. Stuff's going to come up. You're gonna have vacancy. So there are some other expenses beyond your mortgage. How do you budget for that?
You know, at the end of the month, I put whatever hasn't been spent. I put the money away in my savings bank. And if something unexpected happens, I just take it out of there. And then the next month, again, the first of the month hits, all the rents go in there. Yeah. So
yeah, you know,
So that's about it. Yeah.
You're in an interesting spot because you've got a pretty big size portfolio. How many rentals are you up to now?
Right now, I have right now I have 51.
51 rentals. So, you know, I would say for someone that's maybe starting out, like someone that maybe has a couple of rentals, and maybe I'll ask you this as a question, Dom. So if somebody has a couple of rentals, I feel like they're in a dangerous spot because they don't have a lot of cash coming in, and they really need to make sure that they're budgeting to be able to come up with money when things come up. Where someone in your position, with as big as your portfolio is and as much cash flow as you generate, you're able to cover just about anything that can come up in a month. So
exactly.
I feel like you're in a safer spot than someone that's starting out.
I was always advised when I first got in this business, someone always told me, make sure you have, before you start buying places, have some money on the side. Have a decent bank account in case if that furnace goes out, that roof leaks, so on and so forth. So that's any advice I can. Yeah. Never buy on a shoestring just because, again, something could happen. And I'm not really a big fan of credit cards, truth be told. But I mean, they could come in handy at a pinch. They could come in handy as a pinch if you don't have much money in the bank and something happens. I guess you can use the credit card to pay a contractor or go to Home Depot and buy the material. But again, I would advise anyone just have some money set aside in case that unexpected thing happens.
Yeah. If you want to see the property right after Dom bought it, right before the rehab, he made a YouTube video walking through the property. It's pretty interesting if you want to check it out. I've got a link to it at rentalincomepodcast.com/Dom. And if you want to hear more from Dom, he was on episode number 304. You can go back and look that up. Well, thank you so much for checking out this bonus episode of the podcast. We'll be back with a regular interview on Tuesday. My name is Dan Lane, and this has been the Rental Income Podcast.